Hey guys, I'm Chris.
And I'm Mike.
Welcome back to this week's No Limits, the Thriller Podcast. What's new this week, Mike?
Not much, just so excited we were able to cover Recoil of Justice by Brad Elder, our patron. And so if you want to become a patron for less than the price of a novel a month, you too can support the podcast to be the reason we can make more podcasts. Just head to thrillerpod.com, click the Patreon tab to learn more. But Chris, we're going to have to start plugging that at the beginning of every episode because we always jump right in and just want to talk about the books. We got to give ourselves a little credit here. We got a great group of patrons behind this podcast.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. It was great to talk to Brad and read his book. And, you know, the group chat, Mike, it's popping.
Popping off, baby.
It is popping. So if you want to be a part of a vibrant crowd who love thrillers just as much as you, go to our website and subscribe. You'll have a fun time. I guarantee it.
One more plug. We're going to have to start putting this one early in the episodes too. Our YouTube channel, we hit 100 subscribers. We're just trying to get that off the ground the last month or so, but we are a full video podcast now. So for anybody still listening to audio, come on over, subscribe on YouTube. We also have a lot of shorts where we take a couple of clips from each episode and publish them as YouTube shorts. So make sure you subscribe. Even if you listen on Spotify or audio only, please go ahead and subscribe on YouTube. It just helps us out.
Yep.
Awkward. We're not used to doing this kind of business. We just want to talk books.
I know it takes us back to like the beginning days when we were really trying to like sell ourselves right off the bat. But
it's not our wheelhouse. Our wheelhouse is just two bros talking books.
Yeah, so that's what you're here for. Well, you've come for a damn good conversation because we read this week Sons of Valor 4, False Flag, Andrews and Wilson. And I have to say, Mike, it's good to be back in the Sons of Valor universe.
It is. It did not disappoint.
I would have to say, not my favorite.
Agreed.
Very hard to come off of the last trilogy.
For sure.
So it's like, it's already a peg. I'm going to knock it a peg down because, like, I don't know how you're going to live up to that. But I will say, it definitely didn't disappoint. I'm going to give it a solid rating. I think it's enjoyable, potentially kickstarting like the next trilogy, whatever you want.
Sure.
Super
the
emotional.
Reza trilogy. Like if the last one was Qasim Nadar, this one's definitely going to be Reza, the Iranian.
Right. And super emotional, man.
Yeah.
Super emotional.
So that's the catch-22. I unfortunately can't but help compare this to the first three, which were lights out. Phenomenal storytelling from villains. Just, honestly, I think I said this in our boys over a year ago now on our Sons of Valor 3 review. I think Qasim Nadar might be one of the best crafted characters in all thrillers. Going on the journey of his rise and his fall was so amazing, so in depth, and that character like lives in my mind rent free. He was so good. And so to come to this book after absolutely loving that series, it's just disappointing that, I didn't like it as much as the first three, but it was still really good. I feel like if you put a different title on this book, change the characters' names, but give them the same kind of relationships, I'd like this book more just because I won't compare it to their earlier works in the Sons of Valor universe. So I feel like that's the downside. But then the flip side is the whole second half of this book had me captivated. Edge of my seat stuff. And really, once they get to the palace and start the investigation, I thought that was phenomenal writing, so enjoyable. And then it had a Vince Flynn style race to the finish line, which was almost like the final half or third of the book was an entire race to the finish line. So it's like all that was so amazing. Yet the double-edged sword is I can't help but compare it to the last three, which were far and away better, light years better.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the problems with success, or like you have to always try to top yourself. But all right, let's put the first trilogy aside.
Yeah.
We made our comment. This one does not surpass
The third.
Definitely the third and second. We could have a conversation about whether or not it passes Sons of Valor 1, but that's semantics. So clearly they're trying to set up a new story here. We immediately start out with this interesting flashback, right? We come to realize that it's a flashback of these two young ideologues on a yacht that are really going to drive the story going forward. And, to really think about this idea of, in the past, they had the last novel, they had this one singular villain. And now we have sort of this juxtaposition, one Saudi, one Irani. Like, how are we going to bring this together? One full of privilege, the other one, like they're complete opposites, right? In
They
a
are.
sense.
Yeah.
And the one is trying to feed on the other. And in the end, like, it's crazy when Faisal just gets killed.
Yeah. Is Reza's only way out. One way out.
Well, yeah, of course.
That's it. And he's playing the game. And the crazy thing is, it opens, you think they're really good friends. And I went back and reread that opening scene after knowing who Reza was and what he ends up doing. The clues are there from the beginning. He was playing him like a fiddle the whole time. And then as we meet his boss, Golrani or something like that, in the Iranian Ministry of Intelligence, we learn he was groomed for this since he was a boy, really, a teenager. When they sent him to college, the idea was to befriend the crown prince and ingratiate himself with the royals, knowing the crown prince Faisal was going to be at Oxford. And so they went to college together. They became friends. All this partying and the yacht scene was really just to get inside and plant this seed. And it was equally fun, even though Reza is that good at what he's doing and believes in himself, watching him be surprised when Faisal actually kills his brother and usurps the throne, or at least usurps the crown prince duties. Reza was shocked. His mind was blown. He almost got giddy in that scene. He got like ahead of himself. And I just thought that was a lot of fun to not only like the audience wasn't underestimating the villain, but the villain himself was underestimating himself. Like he didn't even think this thing would happen. And when it does, it kind of unleashes a new side of him that we didn't see. And he just keeps up the persona. And then he becomes the ambassador. Like he has all that planned out. Like everything is meticulously planned. It's kind of like old Soviet Union spy shit, to have this deep a level of penetration, Carla stuff. And, here the Iranians are doing it to the Saudis with the end game of turning them against the West, getting, the royal family out of the West pocket and making all these deals with Israel and the US. What a plot.
Yeah. And, initially when the plot is developing and, there's going to be this assassination of the crown prince and they set it up for Israelis, I just assumed, and then we introduced Reza, I just assumed that it was all his plan from the very beginning. And then you throw in this wrinkle, like you said, of how it's truly like a mind and manipulation game, and things were blossoming on its own. And I think it's so intriguing to see like these co-villains in a sense of like, but the one was definitely created from the other, like nurtured and brought about. And in the end, like Riza doesn't know what Faisal would do. Like, he thinks he knows what he'll do. He's imploring that he knows what he'll do, but that's why he has to kill him in the end, because he's totally right. This guy was going to try to weasel his way out, blame it on the non-rich, the underling, is whatever, the Iranian. To me, that twist at the end, while I didn't see it coming, is perfect. Makes perfectly sense.
And then couple that with that just happened. Rice is getting himself out of the building, out of the palace, and he catches eyes with Whitney. I thought that was an amazing plant where I wouldn't have been that interested in a round two of all these characters. Like part two wouldn't have really got me all that invested. But since he locked eyes with Whitney and knows, she's the American whore who took me down and ruined my plans, he's going to have that mindset. He is so dead set on coming after her and finding out who she is. That's the fuel that keeps me invested to want a second book with him as villain. I don't know if the rest of the book did enough to want me to stick around with him. Also, that other thing, I guess we're supposed to be kind of hooked with his girlfriend. She's a child of somebody powerful, and she has ambitions herself.
No, yeah.
Yeah. So she's also, and Reza is assigned to her. At one point, he's like, as much as I love the sex and everything, she's like a supermodel. She's so good
As an
looking.
asset.
Yeah, he's like, I'm assigned to her, so I'm supposed to be working on her. And at the same time, she wants power. So she comes from a family that seems to be in the upper classes. So I guess I'm kind of interested in that, but I'm more interested in how he's going to cross paths with Whitney.
Yeah, I liked how they set that up, both in and around the epilogue, having Whitney just like recall, the face of that guy and literally like mark it. She even says like burns it into her face because that guy is going to be important. Sort of setting this up that they're going to clash in the future, and then bringing it back to Riza, and he's on the airplane, right? And all he can think, he has this beautiful model of a airline attendant who will probably do whatever for him, but the only thing he can think about is Whitney's face. And so like just that juxtaposition of the two, that's the only thing they can think about is each other. I think that perfectly sets up the next book, and got me intrigued. I was bought in for the next one.
Agreed. They are still dangling out the Watson Chunk relationship, though. There were a few steps forward. It was like, two steps forward, one step back. But we didn't really go anywhere.
It was like, all right, I felt like they perfectly set it up at the end of the last novel.
End of last book, right? They almost kissed, I think. They were about
on
to
the
embrace.
London Eye.
Yep.
Like, and now, all right, a summer goes by and like, oh, well, we got to take a step back. And then we got to be super awkward about it. Let's go back to high school.
But they're thinking about each other on all the ops.
Constantly. Yeah. But they were apart this entire book, pretty much.
They were, yeah. Except for the NASCAR opening. Okay,
the opening scene.
That's a great way to open up with Chunk.
When do we talk about Sawyer?
Saw, man, yeah. Although I'll be honest, as soon as we had the NASCAR scene and we were with the family,
you knew it was coming.
I said to myself, actually, I put in my notes. Let me see what I wrote down. Literally reading chapter 1 or 2, whatever it was of this book. I wrote, "Shit, please don't kill Saw this book." And I wrote that right at the NASCAR scene when they're all riding high, happy family. I'm like, no!
I mean, yeah, it's like what's the quintessential, you present it just to have it.
Chekhov's gun.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not going to put that NASCAR scene there without something. I mean, although the counter argument there is they could just be referencing what happened in the past, showing Saw moving on. He decided to stick with the team.
Because that was a very big scene at the last novel.
Big part of the last 2 books, yeah. And so I thought it might just be cementing that, Saw's going to be this family guy and this team's guy that Chunk and Whitney could maybe look at and go, maybe we can have that too. I bet his death makes it even harder for Chunk and Whitney to think, because they were talking kids at one point, which was crazy. He was like, do you see yourself as a mom? And he's like, oh shit, did I just ask that? And she's like, do you see yourself as a dad? And they were both kind of playing coy about it. I think Saw's death is going to make it even harder for them to wrap their heads around. Is that life possible?
No, it's a super interesting dynamic. I don't ultimately know what I mean, I guess I want them to get together, but then it's like, what happens after that?
Yeah, I'm surprised they're touching it. Like, I was wondering when we first met Watts. You remember that scene when she's in the heels?
I just thought that they were going to completely avoid it.
I thought they were just going to be almost brother sister, like professional relationship, utmost respect for each other. They're in the trenches together, never even like pop into their mind. And then in book 2, it pops into Chunk's mind.
For sure. That one scene.
3, yeah.
The bar scene.
And he's questioning, he's making comments about her, and he's like, I guess if you're feeling it naturally, it's got to come up. I think Andrews and Wilson had to make that choice. You're either never going to do it, or you're going to do it, and it's going to be a keystone of the series. You're all in or you're all out.
Yeah. So, are you supportive of it or no? You'd rather not
ship
say
him.
It. You ship him. You ship him.
Ship him.
I do too. I want to see that.
I think even if just for the cutesiness of it all, like it's just as meant to be.
Yeah.
It's like a Disney. It's like a Disney story in the sandbox. It's like.
But I'm gonna be pissed off if like the next book is just like this. Though.
Same shit. Yeah. It's like The Bear. Oh my god, do you watch The Bear? The cooking show about the restaurant. Have you gotten to the new season 4?
No, I'm not. I have not watched season 4 yet.
It's the same freaking thing, same conversations. You watch a 30, 40-minute episode, and they literally have the exact same talk they've been having however many times. So anyway, I hope it doesn't become that, because this season the Bears pissing me off, not doing anything new. So I don't want this series to become that with chunk and heels. Yeah. We talked about the big heavy hitters, though. There's a lot of other incredible side characters, two of which stand out to me as making our free space when we get to the scorecard.
Okay.
I might want to save the talk for them, but I'm wondering, I think you're going to be on the same page with who those two might be.
Is one of them Israeli and one of them has 4 legs?
Oh, damn. I guess there's 4 then. All the Israelis were operating with, and Thor definitely are runners up, but no, there's 2 others. All right.
So Thor's not Israeli. He's an actual SEAL. And I think he's being lined up to maybe replace Saw with the team. That's like Thor and his handler. I forget his handler's name.
I forget the name. Yeah. They can use him on the team. That would be good. I was surprised he made it in that tunnel scene when
with the IED.
We sniffed out the IED.
Jumping out of a plume of explosive smoke. Yeah.
I was shocked at that. I thought in the tunnels a lot more was going to go down. And then everyone kind of walked away unscathed. Well, except for the terrorists. Yeah, when Watts blows up that truck, that's pretty sweet. And she's the one who gives the command.
She is. Mother is God.
The trigger. Mother is God.
Yeah.
It's a great, what a great tribute she gave right there.
All right, so let's transition into the scorecard then, because since we're like sort of dabbling into action suspense, I think where this book excels is the action sequences. It's, you know, the halo insertion. It's the boat scene, like juxtaposition, like we're having both teams come in on helicopters. They're trying to tackle both boats.
Assyrian choppers, that was pretty cool.
Right. And then couple that with, the extended mission. All right, well, now we got to go into these Gaza tunnels and fight to the end. Like, that was amazing.
Good stuff. Yeah. I'm a little tired of the tunnel stuff, only in the sense of we have read so many books with shootouts in tunnels. I feel like recently, of our recent spat, Jack Carr kicked it off at the end of was the most Red Sky Morning.
Red Sky Morning.
Yeah, that like underwater tunnel. And then speaking of Andrews and Wilson, their last Dark Rising novel in the Shepherd series.
There was a tunnel.
There's a tunnel scene. I think we had another one somewhere.
In Brad Thor?
I feel like Brad Thor Scott's always finding little puzzles.
He's always finding
these tunnels. No, there's one. Oh, we read Steve Berry, the Templar.
Oh, yeah, there was a lot of tunnels.
Legacy. That one was cool, though, at the end, with all like the historical
booby traps.
Try to find the arc or whatever it was they were looking for, yeah. I don't know, I was a little over the tunnel shootout stuff, because we've done that a million times. But having the dog was awesome. Yeah, I thought that was good. But I'm going to say for action suspense, what really bumps me up a couple of points, there wasn't much action, but it was edge of your seat suspense when the investigative team is in the palace. When they're in the belly of the beast and Saud is watching them. The palace guard works for Faisal. And they're pissing him off. Like Milliken from the FBI is giving him the business. She's running the crime scene. No nonsense. Sam is snapping pictures with that camera.
I want Milliken and Sam Octavius to come back.
Sam was the dude. I 100% agree.
Sam was one of them. Jacked.
Yep.
NSA nerd. Like, that's awesome.
Using the camera to hack into their systems. Like the digital camera has all the tech to do that. Crazy NSA stuff. He was one of my 2 candidates for free space. So, yeah, Sam was awesome. But the whole time they're in there doing that investigation of the murder, and they're pushing all the right buttons. Then also with Theobald, the guy from DIA, who has that great relationship with Whitney ever since they went back to Afghanistan.
Right.
He saved her life there. And that was like a hotel.
Was that in book 1?
I think that's 2.
Is that 2?
Could be. It could be 1.
They all blend together. I know it wasn't 3.
They start blending together. But he was such a great character, such a great support. Here,
I liked him coming back.
He's a badass team leader for this investigative team. I just like his balls.
52, right?
Yeah.
They say.
But he also knows how to balance. Like when Milliken was pushing too hard, he realized they had to do a little good cop, bad cop, give and take. Like he was almost playing perfect diplomat, team leader and just badass,
Spook.
no nonsense. When he pulls
Yeah.
the gun on the guy in the morgue, I really love that team. I think, and that team not only boosts up good guys, it boosts up plot, because that was when I felt like the plot really clicked, and it boosts for me action/suspense, because that was more suspenseful, I would say, than the other action scenes to me.
Yeah, I was intrigued to see how this was going to work out when I saw what they were doing. That all right, because off the rip, right, they pretty much address it with the president saying that Whitney and Chunk are going to be separated. Whitney's going to lead up this investigation team. Chunk, we're assigning the tier 1 gold squadron to, sort of be ready to act if anything pops off, right?
Yeah.
So,
which it does with the ships when they get the intel on the
right.
ships.
So from the very beginning, we knew that they were, I figured most likely they're not going to interact with each other the entire book. And I was like, all right, well, it's going to be interesting to see how you do this. And I would agree with you that the suspense, especially leading up to the, getting out of the palace,
going back,
deciding to, going to the embassy, getting out of the embassy,
going up on the embassy roof to hop the
deciding
roof
to
of the
like,
SUV.
oh wait,
hop the wall.
The only way we can save the world is to go back to the embassy where it's being overrun by these protesters. And then you have like the team split up, obviously. So you have Sam on the airplane, and like the whole Argo like scene at the end of them,
a very Argo feel,
trying to get off. They eventually get off the Termax, but with these cars chasing them, like that was just, it was cool,
dude. And all of that stuff I felt like took place in the second half of the book. It feels like that 3/4 mark is really just everything is ramping up. It was a little slow in the beginning to get there, so that might be a ding on plot/buy-in. But once we got there, once we hit the scene in the palace, the rioters, the embassy, then goes to the ships with the saw scene. Then we go into the tunnels. That's just when this book was clicking. So action, suspense, wrapping all that up. Where do you land?
I think it's 8.5.
Yeah, I was gonna say 8. I'm gonna say 8. My ding is the first half of the book being a little slow to develop.
Yeah, I'm gonna ding that on plot for sure.
Yeah, true. I just mean slow in terms of action, suspense. I cared about the plot moving along, but it wasn't action packed. So yeah, all right, plot then.
So my big like problem with this is just Faisal's like kind of an idiot.
Sure.
Kind
of the point though.
Everything is banked on the fact that, oh shit, we have to tell the only one who can save the day is the king. I don't know. I was just like, yeah, it was cool them like going back, like deciding we're at the embassy, we're gonna go, or we're at the airport, we're gonna go back to the embassy and then potentially back to the palace. All of that was great, but I'm just like, this is what you're staking like the future of the Middle East on this. The only way we can do it. Yeah, I was a little unbought.
Interesting. That's funny because I was gonna say that's where I make up ground because I was bought in.
Really? Okay, and interesting.
And to even zoom out further, the backdrop of the Saudis and the Iranians.
All right, well, talk me in. I'm always talking you in. You talk me in.
I'll talk you in a little, but I'm also going to back up a little because the Saudis and the Iranians in bed together is a plot so unbelievably fake and would never happen and like doesn't make any sense. To get me to actually believe that it could in this way, that there's a deep cover plot by Iran that has been baked and embedded and using the family dynamics against them. I just think the palace intrigue was played perfectly by Iran with a deep cover asset. And while I would never believe, the whole Sunni Shia split, all geopolitics, right? Of the Saudis wanting to be the major power broker, Iran, basically their only leverage is to fund proxy groups against the Saudis, on their border. They're involved in Syria. They're involved in Yemen. Basically that's the only card they have to play. So these are the two titans of the Middle East. And as long as they don't see eye to eye and don't get in bed together, it's going to be a geopolitical hotspot with alliances and Western powers coming in, and the Chinese and the Russians are going to want to deal with them and get in bed with one versus the other, play them against each other. So for them two to come together, I never thought I would buy into that. This got me to buy into it, which I think is crazy, but it's all due to the relationship between Reza and Faisal. So that worked. And then the palace intrigue of it all, I absolutely loved how Faisal has to kind of lie to the people. Oh, after his phone call with the American president, he knew he was in a tough position. He had to tell his people, I got the president right where I want him. I have the upper hand here. And then Reza tells him, you really want the upper hand, release the information now to the world, start the riots, get this thing going. And he does it. I was kind of bought into all that happening. I don't know why. It worked for me. And I think on plot, I also go 8 out of 10.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I'm like being so hung up by that. I think it is crazy though that to think, this idea of having, and it sort of cements this idea that, all right, this would be a super scary thing if this were to actually come to fruition.
Really.
The two strongest powers who don't see eye to eye, but actually coming together.
Allied to unite Islam. Yeah.
Yeah. All
To
right,
make
maybe
that
you're
caliphate.
bringing me back in a little bit. So I
I
think
don't think there's many books that could have written that as a major plot point and got me to buy in.
got
And
you
this
to
one
buy
did.
it. Yeah.
This one did. And the thing with the king, when Whitney said she had to do that, I was like, oh shit, she's right. It's the only card they have left to play. The only person who can trump Faisal is the king. And there's no way to get to the king while Faisal controls the palace and his people control the palace. So because of that, got to find the loyalists. You got to sneak in under the radar, find the loyalists. And Chris, I'm just going to give my free space. It's the ambassador, the woman ambassador.
Yes.
She is, from the jump when we meet her, she's somebody you're going to trust. When her and Watts get to have that coded conversation in the car, because they know the driver's
super
listening.
Suspenseful there too. Yeah,
it's so suspenseful, and the way they're kind of, they've got that vibe where they're picking up on what each other's putting down. I knew they were going to have to do some shit together, and she's the one who orchestrates them to get snuck into the palace and get the king and convince the king to turn against his own son. And that plot point just worked for me so good. It worked so good for me.
Yeah, Princess Vermia is a very good character.
She's the best.
Kind of, her father. They didn't really even touch on that, but her father was the one who got, slaughtered. And very interesting to put her there as a character to be this like standalone for what the crown prince wanted, and everything that Faisal but maybe even his father is against. But in the end, like they come together, they agree. That's a good free space.
When her head is on the chopping block, but she does what's right for her country anyway, because she sees the path that it's going down. Powerful stuff.
Yeah.
And got me to buy into the plot all the more, that she wanted to take down Faisal and knew the Americans were the way to do that.
And I will say that whole like sequence of them sneaking back into the palace, like in the Range Rover,
pretty good,
in the trunk, like getting to his room, like all of a sudden freaking what's his name? Theobald is a MacGyver doctor, and he's able to
knows what medicines to give him.
And it makes sense. He's like, oh, like I administrate this stuff, like, so okay, I was bought in. But yeah, it was fun. Like
that honestly might be my favorite part of the book. Everything from the investigative team trying to get back to the embassy through the riots, then sneaking them back in to wake the king. That just like sequence of events was my favorite thing about the book. Even trumps all the action scenes.
Really?
Yeah. And Andrews and Wilson's wheelhouse, like you said earlier, is the action. Them writing the ship takedowns, them writing the tunnel scenes. That
helicopter
stuff was like
scenes,
a little
the jump with the dog is freaking parachuting in.
Dude, and then also where Chunk goes vertical, he goes upside down on the parachute to throw the frag onto the roof.
Frag.
See, all that stuff is great, but I expect it in a thriller. You got your tunnel scene, you got your ship takedown. These are, SEALs or whatever. This is a tier 1 team.
Check in the box.
I expect all that. So when I'm reading it, I really like it. But when you can craft a plot that's as crafty as what they're doing inside the palace, that to me just goes next level.
All right, so what are you giving for buy-in? You give it 8.5 for plot. I gave it 7.5.
Yeah, I gave a flat 8 on plot.
Flat 8, okay.
I'm going 4 out of 5 on buy-in because it took a lot to get to that point where I was invested. But once I was in. But the 1 point ding is like the first third, little less than the first half, where I was like, come on, let's get there already. Let's get this team on the ground. Let's get in there. So 4 out of 5.
All right, I think in talking to you brought me up. I was a 3, and I'm going to go up to a 4. I'm more bought in now after talking to you about it.
Okay. All right. It's not perfect, I'll admit that.
No,
And is nowhere near as good as Qasim Nadar and the drone
sure.
stuff.
Yeah.
Nowhere near as good as his manipulation by who's his Pakistani friend and
Right, exactly.
the wedding scene. Like nowhere near as good as all that stuff. It's still a good story to me. Still a good story.
All right, bad guys.
Yeah, we would.
What do you think about Faisal, who ultimately, like, you know, obviously it gets killed. Interesting character, but then also this, we sort of touched on it at the very beginning, but introducing this Ryza character, who is he going to become, fueled to be something bigger than he currently is? Because I thought like he was going to act bigger, but in the end, he kind of like he realized that he had to defer. Like there was times where he could have bullied Faisal more.
Sure. Oh,
but
he could have.
He definitely like played those spy card and trusted confidant very smoothly. He's very slippery.
I think he's slippery. That's a great word. I think if you push too hard, if he was too direct, Faisal would have seen that as an affront or a challenge, or would have woken up to their relationship. So I think that every time he was like, but of course we defer to your decision, Your Highness.
Yeah. Or Your Highness.
Yeah. Your Highness, of course, you can authorize this or not. I think he just was the ultimate weasel in that. So Faisal as a villain is not really that big bad of a villain, although he tries to be. He tries to wear those pants. He's not. But Ryza is. And because of that, see, compared to Qasim Nadar, I want to go like a 3 out of 5. But objectively, they're a good duo. And once you throw Saud, the guard in, I think I'll go 3.5.
3.5. All right, I'll meet you there at 3.5. Because I guess we would have to look back and see what we gave Qasim Nadar in books 1 and 2.
It's got to be a 5. Come on.
It should be.
Remember Fun Time?
Yeah, Fun Time. You know what is a 5 on this book? It's Good Guys.
The Good Guys. Easy.
I mean, to introduce 2 new characters, to bring back Theobald, and these 2 new characters that I personally want around again, and I hope they figure out a way to intertwine them into the group somehow. Just like we have Yi, like is there a place for Sam and I'm blanking on the FBI chick's name, but
Milligan,
yeah. Like they're just interesting characters. Like they well thought of, well developed.
Not only them, but also some of the Israelis, or even Thor and his handler, like the other operators that they're downrange with. Even some of them to come back and cameo, or bring them in. Replace. You can't replace them, but replace Saw, or bring a new guy on, expand the team a little. I think there's an opportunity. Agreed. Yeah,
I'm going 5.
5 out of 5 on Good Guys. Yeah, and I figured it out. You had asked me, is there something missing about the president and the transition of power, who the vice president took over after an assassination? I was racking my brain. I'm like, I think it happened, but I don't remember it in Sons of Valor. That transition happens in the Tier 1 series with Dempsey.
I knew we were missing something.
Yep. That's the vice president Jarvis in Dempsey, the second to latest Tier 1 book. And then he's full president in Ember, the most recent Tier 1 book. And I love how Team Ember is mentioned a bunch of times. Like the president's wife oversees. She's the liaison with Team Ember. Yeah. That's Dempsey's team. So I think a lot of the White House Situation Room stuff we see more in Tier 1 than we do Sons of Valor. But since it's an intertwined universe, that's why we kind of felt like some gaps were missing.
Because unfortunately, I haven't had the time to read that series. It's something that it's on my list. I want to.
Yeah, I've only read a few, but yeah, same.
But I love Sons of Valor so much that like I don't care like that I didn't understand that, but I definitely could feel it. Obviously being in this world and reading novels that rely on 26 book connections while also not trying to rely on 20. You could just feel that something was missing there.
I think Tier 1 has only like 10 though. I don't think it's that big yet, but yeah, something was missing. The way Jarvis was explained, but not really explained, and his wife was involved, but not really involved in the Parkinson's. It kind of, if you just take that,
it never comes up again after the first 3 novels. Yeah.
It never comes up. So to take that for what it is, it could be a ding on this book. but it just hints at a wider universe. And if that wider universe were left unaddressed, that'd be a problem, but it is addressed. It's just in another series. Yeah, good guys. Really, really special. I would say best part of the book. I mean, honestly, most fun part of the book is reading
for
about
sure.
all these people I love. The setting.
I think it was
No.
okay. I think it was okay.
It was okay. The palace, I felt like
that was like the best part of the setting, like to put us in the mind of the palace. They didn't do a great job on like making me feel like I was on the water, like in the Med, you know.
The ship seemed kind of half baked, like Chunk stuff. His missions almost just seemed as a side plot, side story.
Yeah, it almost it at times it did felt like, all right, this is a Whitney Watts novel, but we need to have Chunk in here doing something.
Exactly.
Right?
Doing something, yeah.
And what's crazy about it is that Whitney doesn't even know what he's doing until the very end.
No, yeah. And I mean, you do have to tie in this palace stuff with the nuke stuff. So
but
yes,
I was
they're
more
interrelated.
Interested in the palace stuff than the nuke stuff. Let's just be honest.
Completely agree. 100%. I could have taken
aside
a book
from like the
wholly
fact
of that.
that I love the action part better there but every time they went back to Chunk, I'm like, no, let's stay over here.
I agree. 100% agree. And it almost sucks that like the trope of there has to be a nuke on the loose, you know, like they're going to blow a nuke in Israel and start a false flag war. It's like, you need those stakes. You need that drama. Yet even that world ending kind of scenario was not the drama I cared most about. The drama I cared most about is she going to make it safely to the embassy? Is she going to get pulled through the window? You know, is she going to find the king and present the video? Is the king going to believe her? That drama was so much more intriguing and powerful to me than a nuke going off in Israel, which is crazy to say.
And she didn't even know there was a nuke.
She didn't even know. Yeah. Yeah. And then it's pretty cool how she does come back in the end to find the tunnel.
Sure.
And use her analyst skills to blow the van. Yeah.
But
they were kind of unrelated.
She had enough stakes with her plot that it didn't need a nuke, you know? Whereas like
it could have carried.
If Chunks wasn't a nuke, it would have been even less interesting.
But it is tied up because that is part of Rise's plan, like to push this attack, to cement Faisal's leadership.
There to be, you know, a villain I was disappointed in? His like countermate at the MIOS. MO Ministry of
the intelligence inside Tehran. Yeah.
MOIS.
But I did like his boss though.
I liked his boss, but no, like the guy that Chunk's after, right? Ultimately, he was a coward. Like, you know,
because he just wanted to leave the tunnel, let others do the dirty work. He's like, if this thing blows, I'm just gonna get out of here. Yeah. He was weak. He brings villains down.
And he's the reason that Whitney even figured it out, because she sees this single guy like come out of the
pop up.
In the middle of the night.
He probably could knock down villains half a point or so, but I'm just not going to do that. But probably could.
All right. The setting, I think it's like a mixed bag. It's sort of half and half.
Yeah.
2.5, 3.
I'm going to go 3. Just keep it right down the middle.
Keep it right in the middle.
3. Not the best, though. Not the finest. Even inside the palace, I liked more what the characters were doing. It didn't necessarily have the descriptive language. Right. Yeah, it didn't really describe it. I couldn't really feel it. It wasn't really visual to me. What was visual is the characters, their dialogue, their actions, their conversations. The actual place and location was not visual at all. So, what do we say? 3? Yeah. Then tunnels. I'm just sick of tunnels.
I'm gonna dock it down to 2.5.
Yeah, give me 2.5. I've been generous too in earlier categories, so you know where we're not going to be generous.
I actually don't mind this cover.
You don't mind the cover? Okay, all right.
So historically, guys, you can go back and listen to our Sons of Valor 1, 2, 3. We're not a big fan of this series, cover-wise.
Though I have made the argument, at least it has a consistent voice, and that voice does continue here. They use the template.
It does.
It has the same kind of feel. I just don't know about the woman. I'm going to be honest with you. Don't try to tell me. Maybe the face is Watts and heels, but the outfit, the uniform, I'd never pictured her in the book doing anything remotely like what she's wearing.
Running from the protesters, like hopping over the fence.
She's not dressed like that coming from the palace after the investigative meet.
All
Not
right,
at all.
so I'll tell you what I'm going to give points to. I'm going to give points to the helicopter.
Sure, the parachutes.
Definitely have a helicopter scene. Give points to the parachuting.
Sure. The kitted up operator is something Andrews and Wilson always do.
Yeah.
So
it's cool.
Have your day. Sure, no problem.
I'm guessing that before we were starting, I was trying to pinpoint this set of buildings to see if they were real. Not 100% sure if they are, but it looks to me like the tallest building in this, right under the R&E. Vague similarity to the Riyadh. What was the building?
It does evoke
the Kingdom Center, but it does. You're right. You were saying that it evokes like this city in the middle of a desert, oil. Very Arab.
I'd say it
like
has that
Abu
feel.
Dhabi. Like
Exactly.
Dubai.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If it's not Riyadh or Tehran, you really had an opportunity to use one of those. So at least you get the feels of it, even if it's not the actual city. And it could be a city we're just missing. That's entirely possible.
True.
So.
Very true. Very true.
All right, what does that mean then on cover? All in all,
I will say, if it is another city that we're missing, then I'm going to dock it because it should be either
one of those.
It should be Riyadh.
Yeah, it should be.
Maybe Tel Aviv, because that's where like the attack is going to go. And I looked up Tel Aviv. It's not Tel Aviv.
It's not Tel Aviv. Yeah, that's interesting.
So you could have picked either of these two.
All right.
All that being said, it's straight down the middle. It's like a 2.5, 3.
Yeah, 2.5. Give me that 2.5. I'm with you. Free space, though, to end a little positive. I'm going with the ambassador. Her conversation with Watts, her sacrifices later on, her really playing the game, low-key diplomat who knows the power brokers, knows the ins and outs of the system. She just gets it done. She's trustworthy. She's honest. She's loyal. And in the end, she saves not only her country, but perhaps the entire Middle East and the world, really. I think it's all thanks to her this plot comes together. I can't see a way things work out. As good as Watts is, as good as Chunk is, I don't see this working out without someone like her. So she played her role perfectly.
All right. Well, it's tough because we already like sort of sung their praises in Good Guys, but I was super intrigued by this dog and Navy SEAL combo
Thor.
At the very end. And I think I want to know, are they going to come back? Like, obviously there's an opening on the team. It's going to be very hard to replace Saw, but
Sure.
I almost also wanted to give my free space to Riker, like just to
Sure.
his emotional journey through this book. And, it's so funny, this guy who he literally runs headfirst into everything and never gets shot. And like, always has a horseshoe up his butt and comes out unscathed. But then to see when his buddy doesn't have that fortune and him click, because he's like the Joker, right?
Sure.
He is
the
normally the comic relief. And to see that switch, I feel like Andrews and Wilson just very, very much so caught the essence of that, that relationship between the two of them.
I remember saying that too at the end of book 3. I was like, Saw had his story, the family stuff in book 2, him sticking with the team in book 3. I was like, we got to see some evolution from Riker. I think it's time for him to kind of take a step in who he is and what he gives. Like, he gives his all for the team, but I mean what he gives in terms of the story and the characters. And I think we saw a change in him reacting to what happens to Saw. He goes like primeval on everybody. So he even makes his way into my limerick. That's how much I liked Riker. There once was a mole named Reza, fooling Prince Faisal what a beta. As Saw pays the price, Riker don't play nice. Whitney gets the king the data.
Oh, there you go. All right. It's hard to rhyme with some of those words, so you did a valiant effort there, Mike.
I gave it a shot.
Give it a shot.
B-? Can you start rating my limericks? Just
I should.
throw out a grade.
I'm going to give it a B+.
A B+ I'm very happy with because I felt writing it like it was a C-. So thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, well, that leaves us, me with a 39, You with a 38.5. Interesting. A little lower than I thought it was going to be, but
yeah, same. I'm glad I praised a number of things in the beginning, particularly the action, the suspense, the plot, because that really was what had me gripped. If you look at it as a complete story, I don't know if it did all the things that I know Andrews and Wilson are capable of that we've seen in everything else they've written. So I think maybe we're a little harsh, but only because we're grading it on a curve against what we know these what masterpieces they've put out.
Exactly. Wow, we gave Sons of Valor 47.
I don't know if you remember what I did with Sons of Valor 1 and 2. Gave it that perfect 50.
Yeah.
When you weren't there.
That was not the real score. So the real score when I was there was Sons of Valor had a 47 and a 48. And then Sons of Valor 2, when we scored, it had a 44 and a 45. And then Sons of Valor 3, what did we... And it was the lowest, but close, 43 and 42. So this is a little bit lower than that. I think it's just hard to top that trilogy, and we reserve the right maybe elevating the score if the next two books or next book, we'll see how Rise of Stories goes. So
yeah, at least I'm interested to want more of him,
Yeah, I'm intrigued.
Same.
Before we get out of here, Mike, just like we talked about at the top, we need to thank our patrons. Our Deputy Director, Sherry F., and Brad E., our special agents, Adam, Mike, Ben, Daryl, George, Matt, Don, and Chris. Please subscribe, rate, and review to all 3 seasons of No Limits on the Apple Podcast. You can find us online at thrillerpod.com or on Twitter and Instagram at thrillerpodcast. And as always, just let Saw be Saw.